Let's welcome Claire.
Hello everyone, I'm Claire. The news today I would like to introduce to you is about the rapidly increasing rate of child marriage in Afghanistan. First, let me provide some background information for you. So, what's the definition of child marriage? According to the data supported by UNICEF, it includes any marriage of informal union where one person is under the age of 18. However, the legal marriageable age in Afghanistan is only 16 for girls and 18 for boys. And it means that sometimes child marriage may be legal for them. And it turns out that 4% of girls married before 50, 28% of girls married before 18, and 7% of boys married before 18. Evidently, girls are more likely to be involved in child marriage cases. Therefore, in the following part, I'll focus on the female aspect to illustrate this topic to you. Before discussing the factors behind this phenomenon, let me provide some insight into the new policies implemented by the Taliban government. Firstly, only boys were allowed to return to school in September 2021, while most teenage girls were prevented from returning to secondary school education. Subsequently, in May 2022, women-owned and women-run restaurants in Herat province, the second most popular province in Afghanistan, were forced to close. And in December 2022, the government banned university education for women and prohibited their employment in NGOs. Additionally, in January 2023, pharmacies were instructed not to sell contraceptives. And those policies all violate female rights, but they're just a fraction of the problem. So I've roughly summarized them into 4 categories: education, employment, freedom, and dress code. Undoubtedly, they all makes the situation of female in Afghanistan worse than before. After having those background information, let's talk about the factors that aggravating and continuing child marriage. I've highlighted 3 of them, which are the main factors that makes child marriage even worse than before. They are gender inequality, level of education, and COVID-19. First, gender inequality. This influences how women and girls are valued and treated. And gender inequality restricts girls' agency and strips them of the power to make their own decisions, such as whom and when they can marry. Second, level of education. As I mentioned above, nowadays it is more difficult for a girl to enroll in education than a boy. And government's data indicates that girls who haven't completed their education are 3 times more likely to marry before the age of 18 than girls who have completed. And the third one is harmful practices. There is a traditional view of marriage in Afghanistan involving the exchange of money and goods. And next one is traditional and societal attitudes. Traditionally, Afghanistan has a patriarchal society, and child marriage is considered an internal family matter, which is dictated by religious leaders. And the fifth one is weak legal frameworks. There are inconsistencies between international laws and religious laws. The legal age of marriage in international law is is not valid or accepted by the religious codes. And it is believed by the religious leaders that early marriage is essential in order to prevent premarital sex and other immoral practices, particularly for girls. The next one is adolescent pregnancy. The majority of adolescent childbearing occurs within marriage, and girls will be married off to avoid the social stigma of premarital sex and childbirth out of wedlock. The next one is poverty. Families living in poverty will marry their daughters early in order to reduce the cost of living. And COVID-19 epidemic exacerbated poverty, insecurity, and lack of access to services such as education, factors which all drive child marriage worsen. And the next one is displacement. For internally displaced families, child marriage can be perceived as a survival tactic. Finally, the last one is returnees. Many refugee girls returning to Afghanistan are reportedly at risk of child marriage, as they do not have access to education and they are not eligible for aid from UN agencies. And the last part is conclusion. After knowing the situation of the girls in Afghanistan, so what could we do to make a change? In my opinion, I consider that Afghanistan should strike a balance between religion and children's rights, and they should also promote the rights and well-being of their children. For the other countries, they could cooperate and support Afghanistan internationally. And for people like us, we could take actions from websites or organizations such as Girls Not Brides. Last but not least, I think that we should cherish what we have now because we're much more luckier than the girls in Afghanistan. And these are the references. And it's the Q&A time.
Good. Can we start with questions, please?
Can you explain the word in page 2 of it? Control set. I don't know the exact.
It is like something it's like a medicine after you having sex with someone and you don't want the child. You use
I think explain that it's a kind of device which can be implemented inside the body and it can prevent pregnancy. Because I think they try to stop using contraceptives because they make sure that women will be pregnant in a marriage. Yeah, that's why. Good. So can we have another question, comment, or any suggestion? We can also talk about the presentation. You can maybe talk about what you like about the presentation or any suggestion you want to offer to the presenter. Yes?
Is the government taking any efforts to solve this problem?
No, I don't think so because the government is Taliban.
Good. Any others? Yes?
Can you introduce the Girls Not Rights movement?
It's a website about child marriage and about how to end child marriage, and they're focusing on the child marriage issue around the world. And here are some and there are some ways to take action for them, such as donate money to their members and support a campaign, or dedicate your wedding and join their partnership like this.
Good. So if you're interested in this organization, you can check this out later. So any further questions, comments, suggestions? Maybe I can call someone. How about me? Any question, comment, suggestion?
Is there any international support or help for Is there any international support or help for
Such as this.
I have a question. I think as far as I know, I think the UN has been trying to step in, right, and help these women. I mean, so far, has the UN started any talks or negotiation with the Taliban government?
I'm not quite sure, but I have found some news that they're discussing about this issue.
Good. So if there are no further questions, then thank you very much for the presentation. Very good.